bakit biglang nabago? They used to house the Afghan evacuees in facilities within the U.S., like I said, the National Conference Center in Virginia. And then in September 2022, there appears to have become a new strategy where the Afghans arriving in the U.S. no longer will be temporarily housed in safe haven facilities in the U.S. What is the reason? Maybe Ambassador Romualdez, you can tell us what is the reason for the change in strategy of the United States? Bakit ayaw na nila tanggapin yung mga Afghan doon sa National Convention sa Arlington? Eh napakarain na nung dumaan doon at biglang nagbago at biglang tayo na ang kinakatukan.
Well, actually, they're really, the fact is that there are quite a number of them, and as you said, they have that here in Virginia. Pero the main reason why they're also asking other countries, we're not the only one, by the way, there are other countries, I think Germany is also being asked, they also had a processing center in Qatar, and from what I understand also Albania, is because there's just so many of them that they would like to be able to do it quickly as possible, because they have a timeline, I suppose. And that's the reason why we're being asked as an ally of the United States. We are one of a number of countries that they have requested if they could use it. They use the country for the processing of these Afghan nationals that work with the United States government.
Yes, Ambassador, you say there are just too many Afghans. We're talking about tens of thousands because we've heard that 25,000 were already processed through UAE, 10,000 in Qatar. You now mentioned Germany and Albania. Are there tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions? Is there a projected number to this enormous migration?
The number that we received was around 50,000 that are still for processing.
50,000?
This includes government people who work with the U.S. government and their families.
Pero kung 50,000, yun din ang hinihingi sa Pilipinas. You mean to say 100%, yung buong 50,000, lahat babagsak sa Pilipinas? Bakit ba huminto yung UAE at yung Qatar? Ba't sila huminto? Bakit huminto yung US? Eh, dati naman pinoprocess doon, nakatenga pa, 77,400. Bakit tumigil ang US? Bakit sila tumigil? Bakit bigla Pilipinas ang naisip?
Well, hindi naman naisip. Ang pagkaalam namin, they were asking other countries, and the Philippines is one of them because of the fact that we have this relationship with the United States. We're an ally, so they thought the Philippines could be a place where we could allow them to process their special immigrant visas.
The reason I ask, sir, is that UAE and Qatar are obvious processing areas because of their distance. And they're already doing this, 25,000 and 10,000. Why did they stop? Kung 50,000 na lang ang butal, eh kaya-kaya na nila idagdag doon. Nagkakaintindihan sila, magkapareho sila sa kinakain, sa gawi, sa iba't ibang paninindigan at paniwala.
Well, pwede natin itanong sa kanila kung bakit biglang tinigil. Pero ang pagkaalam ko, humingi sila ng tulong sa atin kung pwede nila i-process yung kanilang mga government employee, yung nagtrabaho sa kanila dito sa Pilipinas. As one of the many countries that they're asking for this.
Thank you. Yes, I'm not unwilling to help. Like all Filipinos, we have an open arms policy to all refugees throughout the world at any time. However, it appears to me that we are an unlikely candidate simply because napakalayo po natin para inilalayo natin sila lalo samantalang meron ng existing. Unang-una, kung babagsak rin sila sa US, bakit hindi nga ituloy-tuloy na lamang yung nandyan sa Virginia? Nahinto ba, since Washington DC is clearly by Virginia, have they stopped processing people in the National Convention Center, please?
I don't think so. I think they're still processing a number of them as of now.
I see, because I understand from press releases that with the Operation Allies Refuge, Operation Allies Welcome, and the other enduring welcome efforts of the United States, the Biden administration announced that Afghan nationals in October 1 of 2022 will no longer be able to enter the U.S. under the Humanitarian Parole Authority. So tinigil sa US, samantalang ito, empleyado ng US. Bakit tayo ang magiging sangkalan? Yun lang, tanong ko.
Well, pwede natin itanong sa kanila kung bakit sa atin na. Pero as I said, isa tayo sa mga ibang mga bayan na kung humingi sila ng tulong, pwede idaan doon bago nila dalhin sa Amerika.
Would you know if Thailand, our good neighbor and ASEAN partner, which is a treaty ally of the United States, has been requested by the United States to process Afghan employees as well?
I am not sure, Madam Chair.
I have been told that no request was ever made to Thailand. Why only the Philippines?
Well, as I said, they approached us in October and we said that we will consider it and we're going to study the matter. But we have not asked them why you picked us. The only reason they told us is because they felt that the Philippines was an ally that they could ask this particular favor, perhaps if you want to call it that. And they have brought it up to the highest levels in our government, including the President.
Okay, so if the U.S. is unable or unwilling to temporarily house their Afghan employees in U.S. soil, why don't they go to U.S. territories such as Guam, Puerto Rico, Guantanamo? Secretary Manalo, you're raising your hand.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thought I'd just say a few words on this issue on the why the U.S. might have approached us. Of course, we can only surmise, but what I gather is aside from being a partner, a treaty ally, I think they also are aware of our long tradition of providing humanitarian assistance. So that's why they have approached us.
To refugees, Secretary, you already said these are not refugees.
Well, the humanitarian aspect. And on the issue why they're not being processed in the United States, is actually these are SIV applicants and not applying for refugees. I mean, they're not refugees as such. And as we understood from the United States, their laws require that this category, SIV applicants, have to be processed in third countries, not in the United States. So perhaps those could be the reasons why. In fact, that's one of the reasons why they approached us on this.
Pero magulo rin sa atin yan, di ba? Kasi under immigration rules, and the BI is here to confirm, Norman please, Afghan nationals are Category 1 nationals. They should first obtain Philippine visa before entry in Islamabad. Isn't that correct? So that puts into question their status if they remain in the Philippines as well. So that also puts into question our ability to impose our laws on all those in our territory. And we'll sacrifice all that simply because we'd like to accommodate a favor that could probably be better served elsewhere. Just a question.
That's why we have to be very clear if we were to accede to this, that our laws will be followed. And if they have a stay of 30 to 59 days, for example, in accordance with our category A, then we would have to apply that strictly, and we would have to make that very clear to the United States that they could not stay longer than they are allowed, according to Philippine law, because of their specific category. And that's the point we would, if we ever get into negotiations with the U.S. formal, we would have to insist on these points.
Yes, Secretary, this is a real problem because of the change in strategy in the United States and the refusal now to extend humanitarian parole authorities. we are not certain they will actually receive their special immigrant visas. And the delay, as we know, has been tremendous and admitted by the Americans themselves. Sadly, unfortunately, the Humanitarian Parole Authority is one that myself and my family utilize, so I'm inordinately familiar with the same. It guarantees no residence, it guarantees no rights or any other abilities under that status, nor any immigrant or other privileges. So it's not something I would wish on anyone. Okay. There's a further question. You said that rigorous security vetting has already been done by the United States government. What about the Philippine government? Are we able to undertake rigorous security vetting and background checks? Will we be able to go over their employment records and all their family details from Islamabad through our very meager embassy deployment out there that covers Kabul at this point?
Madam
Yes,
Chair,
Secretary
if the category would be former U.S. government employees, then the job is much easier because they would have been vetted in the first place
Yes.
before they would have been hired. Admittedly, there are problems with their family members, if ever, who were not vetted. And that is one of the issues that we would want to go through. What kind of vetting did they go through in the first place? Which I personally, I wonder if the other agencies, what standard they will apply.
Yes, the NBI has questioned, so have some papers from the PNP questioning our ability to actually vet the incoming applicants.
What we are certain, Madam Chair, is once they arrive in country, then we can, of course, take precautions as to what they may do. Because, for example, like even in voice calls or whatnot, we can have them sign certain waivers, like when you answer a call center, this phone call is being recorded for your protection, or even like a company email or a Senate email for that matter. However, insofar as their backgrounds are concerned, there definitely will be some gaps. However, insofar as the MSC position is, depending on the arrangements made for their stay here, the number of those that will be agreed upon, the risk is low.
Yes, certainly. We appreciate your anxiety and we share the NBI, the PNP, the AFP's concern, as well as the anti-terror group's concern, that we simply do not have sufficient information and capability to get background checks on all of them. And even if you confine them to quarters and treat them almost as immobile prisoners, the reality is there are IT and other communications technologies available. The other consideration is NBI has mentioned the presence of sleepers among Afghan applicants as being highly probable, that the presence of SIB applicants could make the Philippines a target for Taliban and its splinter groups, and so on. Is that the reality? We so far do not recognize the Taliban government in Afghanistan, although we have had diplomatic relations with the country for a long while now. What exactly do we anticipate? NBI, perhaps, since you are very concerned about the security aspect and submitted an early paper on the same.
Yes, Madam Chair. I think the operation we noticed that they may have sympathizers from the southern Philippines, from our Muslim brothers. So that is a possibility, Madam Chair.
Yes, would anyone from NICA and the other security agencies would like to comment that local terrorist groups could exploit the situation and be strengthened or encouraged in some way by the presence of the Afghans here?
From the Madam Chair, we also express the same anxiety because they are given also the opportunity to for this some terrorists to travel, and that is a problem of records checking, and it will pose some security concern later on.
Yes, quite apart from the background of these Afghans, will it be a source of propaganda and extremist narrative in pro-Taliban and Al-Qaeda groups, other sympathizers that we are all fully aware of that exist in our Muslim South?
Certainly, Madam Chair, this could be used as a propaganda, and it could also, since our apprehension is about the sleepers, they could always be activated, and it will have an impact as far as revival of some activities in the South.
Yes, the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos are very concerned about peace in Mindanao. Attorney Guro, you expressed some doubt about this effort.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The same sentiments we raised during the June 7, we are not particularly concerned about the infiltration or the sleepers among these coming Afghanistan, but more of being a target of an attack. As we all know, just recently this Wednesday, an incident happened in Marawi again concerning the same group who caused the Marawi siege. So apparently they're regrouping, and they're growing in numbers because of the continuous problems in Marawi that up until now, most of these affected by the Marawi siege were not yet, they have not returned to their homeland or to their homes. So these are the concerns for the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, because if their mobility will not be limited, and even if their mobility will be limited, these people from the south or these sympathizers of the ISIS-inspired group can easily, travel to zone. And that is the concern actually. We agree with the Security Council that as far as the infiltration of Taliban inspired from this Afghanistan, that is very slim. But for the security concerns of those within the Philippines already, like the sympathizers of these leftist groups.
Yes, that seems very obvious, right? Yes, I think, doesn't the fact that the U.S. no longer wants to house these foreigners in safe havens within territorial United States raise concerns for us? They're claiming that they're very low-risk security, that highly vetted groups will be the only ones coming, and that the SIV is assured, and yet they don't want them. Doesn't this raise concerns on the background and character of these individuals? Ayaw nga ng empleyado ng employer. Ayaw ng employer kunin yung dating empleyado. Bakit tayo ang kukuha? Tayo hindi nangangamba. Sila ayaw. At ganun. Wala sasagot? Secretary Manalo, no, just playing devil's advocate, and well, it seems logical. Sila yung employer. Ayaw nila dun sa mga empleyado nila, ayaw nilang kunin. Ba't tayo kukuha? Wala naman tayong kinalaman na hindi natin kilala, hindi natin kaano-ano. Naaawa tayo, pero maawa muna tayo sa sarili natin. Yes po. Pastor Babes, Chingoy.
Well, actually, Madam Chair, sinabi na nga ni Secretary Manalo, which I confirmed, that itong ang special immigrant visa, kailangan talaga, bago sila makapasok sa Amerika, ipaprocess sa labas. Iba yung refugee status dito sa special immigrant visa. Kasi the minute they approve that, talagang they can come to the United States, work here, live here, and this is going to be their new home. Yun ang pagkaalam namin sa special immigrant visa.
Yes, tama ba? Kaya doon sa interagency meeting June 7, pati DOT TR, transport, di ba? Kasama. Kasama na rin DepEd. Ibig sabihin, 4 years of school. Kasi 4 years average yung application ng SIP. Mag-i-eskwela pa ba yan? Elementary at high school, di ba? Kasi pinatawag kayo. Sino-sino pa pinatawag? DICT, DOST. Lahat tinawag di ba? So, pang matagalan yan. Hindi yan 2 weeks na sinasabi ipo-process. Senator Jinggoy, nagtaas po kayo ng kamay. Nakamute po, Senator Jinggoy. Nakamute ka. Senator Jinggoy, did you raise your hand? Nakamute ka pa. Ayun. Ayun. Senator Jinggoy.
Yes, Madam Chair, for those Afghan nationals who will be denied the special immigrant visa, may I know what is the plan of the United States and where will they go if their temporary visas will expire? Who will cover the expenses if they need to leave the Philippines?
Well, silang gagastos ng lahat, and if they are, as they put in that concept paper, they will repatriate them to a third country or bring them back to where they are. But they claim that the percentage of this is practically nil.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador, I was just wondering, why did they choose our country? Why not other ASEAN countries like Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, etc., etc.? I was just curious about it.
Well, let's put it this way. Ang tingin nila, we are an ally of the United States. So, tinanong nila sa atin kung we're willing to do this. And it's true, yung sinabi nga ni Senator Tolentino that we've had a history of really accepting this even from before. Alam mo, for instance, yung ginawa ni President Manuel Quezon, hanggang ngayon, dito sa Amerika, yung American Jewish community, lagi nilang sinasabi nila ang Pilipinas ay talagang nakatulong sa kanila. So they're really going out of their way rin whenever they can. Marami nagsasabi sa akin sa Israel, yung ating mga OFWs, iba yung trato sa kanila. They give them special care dahil sa ginawa ni President Quezon. So I assume that, as pointed out, even if they're not refugees, we have a reputation for being able to be open in helping people in distress.
Yes, what about the vetting process, Mr. Ambassador? Who is going to vet them?
Well, the U.S. government will vet them. Actually, they are going to be vetted first before they come to the Philippines. We are going to, as Secretary Manalo said, we're going to issue them a temporary visa to come into the Philippines for about 59 days. So there is a time limit for that visa. And once it's expired, the United States is, I assume, obligated to bring or either process it immediately or they have to leave the country.
Are we not going to be involved in the vetting process, Sir Ambassador?
Well, our vetting process is really going to be before we issue the visa. Do nothing, and all of this information has to be given to us, whatever information that we can get on the people that we're giving these visas.
Ambassador Wallace, I'm sorry, Jinggoy. What visa? We're giving them a visa before they come to the Philippines, Ambassador
Well,
Wallace?
I think they're giving, from what the
Mag-a-apply
understanding.
sila kay Ambassador sa Islamabad? Dadaan mo na
No.
Islamabad bago pumunta sa Pilipinas, nalito yata ako.
Well, yun ang pagkaalam ko that we have to issue them some kind of a visa to be able to stay in the Philippines habang they're being processed.
Ibibigay yung visa saan? Sa Kabul? Wala na tayong embassy sa Kabul, di ba? Pati US. You mean to say, upon arrival, may visa ibibigay ang Pilipinas?
Yeah, but, tanong natin kay Secretary Manalo kasi yun ang understanding na naririnig ko na sinabi sa akin.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Jinggoy, sorry. Mas lalo yata akong nalito. Pasensya.
Di ba doble-doble ang pag-issue ng visa mo? Mag-i-issue tayo ng visa dito sa Pilipinas, tapos mag-i-issue ng visa sa Amerika. Bakit din na diretso sa Amerika? Bakit kailangan pa rin?
Masyal mo muna. Teka. Secretary Manalo, please. Mag-i-issue upon arrival ng visa sa Pilipinas. Yun ang sabi ni Ambassador Babes eh. Pagkatapos natin i-screen, mabibigyan natin ng visa. Upon arrival, nakapag-screen na ba tayo o umaasa lang tayo sa sinasabi ng mga Amerikano na mga okay itong mga taong to? Secretary Manalo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think what Ambassador Romualdez meant to say is that we have to issue a visa before they arrive in the Philippines. So, bibigyan sila ng
So,
990.
saan nila makukuha yung visa yan? Dadaan muna sila sa Islamabad?
Normally, it would
Yun
have
ang
to
coverage eh.
be, it would have to be through Islamabad. The Islamabad PE would issue the 9A visa para maka-enter sila.
Napakagulo naman, ang dami naman nilang papasyalan. So, iikot muna, galing Kabul, pupunta ang Islamabad. Mag-a-apply sa ilang Pilipino sa embassy ron. 50,000 sila, tatanggap nila 3 Pilipino. Ganun ba yun?
Normally, that's what we would do now.
Tapos, sa Islamabad, pumayag na ba yung Pakistan dito sa scheme na to?
Hindi, kinukonsult na namin ang Islamabad.
Hindi pa alam ng Pakistan. Magugulat na lang sila tatagsa yung mga kung sino-sino ron. Okay. Tapos, liliko na ngayon yung aeroplano. Pupunta babalik sa Pinas. Ganun ba yun? Biglang landing sa Clark. Po. Electronic appearance at the counter in Islamabad. Anong level ng screening kung pindot-pindot lang? Test.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. Before this Afghans, which are fully vetted, with assumption,
Fully vetted
Vetted by the
by the
Americans.
Chief of Mission
Okay.
of the U.S.
the US,
Embassy
it is still the
and
obligation.
not the Filipinos. We've never met them
No,
before.
not yet. It is
Okay.
still the Philippine obligation